What's up, guys? It's my birthday. So if you don't mind liking the video before we get started and subscribing to the page if you haven't already, here is me having fun on my birthday. This is the Fractal Audio AX8, and today we're going to talk about this multi-amp, multi-effects unit and if it's functional for everyday use. Alright guys, it's Functional Friday and we're talking about the AX8. Real quick, that track was from Epidemic Sounds and it's an awesome groove. I hadn't heard it yet. That was all just improv on top of that recording. I just kind of like clicked through the list of songs and I was like, ooh, I like the groove on this one, and so I just downloaded it, started playing over it with the recording going, and that was the first take. So anyway, let's get into AX8. Today we're going over the AX8, which is the pedal version, kind of simplified with not as much power as far as brain power, from the famous AX8, which everyone is kind of known for using for years now. I know that there's new systems like Kempler, and now Positive Grid has come out with their bias effects in a small amp version, which I hear is stellar, and at some point I'll pick one up. I've shown you a video of the Positive Grid effects, and it's a cool program. I enjoy it. This has been something that's been with me for about 3 years now, and it is my emergency rig. So in my car, right next to my amp, which I'm an amp guy because I'm a pedal guy, but right next to it, I always have this sitting in the trunk, because that one gig where something goes wrong with my amp, it cuts out, maybe a tube goes, something, I've got this as a backup. And I'll tell you, I don't like digital effects as much as I love the sound of a warm tube amp doing its own natural breakup, doing its own thing. But in a pinch, this is way better than any other kind of small amp you could keep in your car, because small amps tend to break up too early and it's too much of a hassle to get anything bigger than a small amp in with your regular rig. So this is the perfect thing. I put it inside a temple board case that looks like this right there. And it lives in there with a Dunlop mini expression pedal. These things are pretty killer and they work great with the AX8. You just need stereo 1/4 inch, so a TRS. And when you're doing your setups, so that you don't have to bend over the board and just adjust everything, which you can do, and it shows you a very, let's just say, old school display of just a 2-color LCD screen. But just so you don't have to bother with that, you've got this. And this is their interface online. So you plug your AX8 into the computer, and then you've got this to mess around with. You can move drives, you can add expressions, you can add delay and chorus, and you can put an amp in, and you can pick whatever amp you want. They have a great list of a lot of different amps. You can also not put an amp in and just use this as your pedal board. which is another option. I haven't done that because if I'm going to use a pedal board, I'm going to use my pedals, not all digital pedals. But it's a great option that a lot of people do use so that they can keep their presets and just use a stage amp if that's what they're doing on tour. Lots of people tour with this. I've taken it on tour a couple times because it's easier to carry than an amp. I've got to say, there is nothing cooler than walking onto an airplane with your guitar on your back and this bag with your amp and your rig and your cables and everything you need to do a gig. That's it. So that being said, do I think it's the best thing in the world? No, I don't. I would much rather have an amp with pedals, but is it the perfect backup plan? Yes, it's the perfect plan B. So they're $1,200. Save up if you're a gigging musician and you're worried about your amp going. Save up and keep one of these in the car. They're a workhorse. I've taken it all over the country. I opened for Jim Gaffigan with it. It was my amp. Everyone said it sounded great. I'm going to use it today on our live stream, and I will probably use a clip of that somewhere in this video because I'll be editing it tonight. Anyway, have a great functional Friday, and it's bright out. Hopefully it's warm. Anyway, see you next week for Work Wednesday, and perhaps a Tenacious Tuesday. Keep your eyes peeled.